Home isn't just a place, it's a feeling. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, ADT helps keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance, so you can feel at home, wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling. ADT. Home. Safe home.
This is the Best of Mike and Mike podcast. Subscribe now by going to the Listen tab in the ESPN app.
The Best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line as we begin the second hour of our show this morning, and really proud and privileged to be kicking off the Disney Company's Day of Giving. The hashtag is Day of Giving, and across ABC and ESPN programming all day today, we are trying to help you find ways to help our friends in Houston and the surrounding areas. And very simple ways. You can text the word Harvey to 90999. You make a $10 donation. You can go to redcross.org/ESPN to find other ways that you can help. Mike and I and the show and everyone else have other ways up on social media as well, as we try as best we can. I know, Mike, it satisfies that need that I feel as I sit there watching it helplessly.
Yeah, you want to do something.
You
want to do something. And one of the first things I saw, some people want to make a $10 donation or a money donation. That's absolutely fine, and we certainly would encourage that. But as I said, here in Connecticut, I see trucks getting loaded up to drive down, and that's happening all over the country. So if you find a place in your area where you can just buy something, whatever may be needed, from water to diapers to who knows, that can get loaded on that truck and driven down, then so be it. But, because we look at the pictures every day and you feel kind of helpless. Boy, you'd like to be doing something and you're thousands of miles away, but there's always some way to help. And I guess that's and it's been going on. There's been plenty of help going on, tons of donations happening, truckloads of supplies being sent to the areas of need, and I'm sure that's going to continue.
We will have two of the Houston area coaches today. Bill O'Brien, coach of the Texans, just after 8 Eastern, just after 7 Houston time. And then we will have A.J. Hinch, manager of the Astros, who are headed home and will play a doubleheader Saturday against the Mets in the first games back in Houston. He'll be with us 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central Time. So we look forward to both of those as we talk about what's going on there. And again, we thank everyone for all of your assistance. Back to the sports news of the day, and a couple of things before we get on to other matters. You made me think about something. Mm-hmm. So we had the stat earlier. They're going to break the first home run that is hit in baseball today will break the record for most home runs ever hit in a month by the sport. The record was set 2 months ago in June.
Right.
July probably would have been right there also, except that they have a week off for the All-Star game. So they're hitting home runs at an almost ridiculous rate. 40%. Didn't you give me that number? 40%?
42.6% of all runs scored this season have come by home run, which is the highest percentage in baseball history.
Going back to the way the game was originally created, what they had in mind when they devised the game of baseball, that has nothing to do with it. That is not even remotely approaching what the game of baseball was originally intended to be. This is not a value judgment. It's not a criticism. I'm just saying it's not. In the same way that when they invented basketball, you mentioned this, and to your credit, You're 100% right. When they invented basketball, the intention was not to find a way to get someone open from 26 feet away.
Yeah.
The idea was to get the best possible shot as close as you could to the basket. So it really makes you say, which game is the most different from what its original intention was? Football, I mean, they did not intend for the forward pass.
No, there's some obviously major changes and evolution in all the games.
But it really wasn't so much a rule change. Yes, they've changed a lot of the rules about what you can do defensively, but it just sort of evolved into this. Whereas baseball I guess baseball hasn't been a rule change either. Right, they didn't change a rule about home runs.
No, they did not.
Basketball is the one that has been the most impacted.
They made it more beneficial point wise to shoot it from further away from the peach basket.
Think about it. If a home run counted as 2 runs, if every run scored via the home run, you just added 1. So if there's no one on base and you hit a home run, that counted as 2 runs. Yeah. Then everyone would be swinging for home runs.
They are now anyway.
Well, they are now anyway.
Yeah.
And in football, if a scoring play, if a touchdown play if it was worth 1 extra point or 2 extra points if you threw it in rather than ran it in,
right,
that would sort of be the equivalent of what you have in basketball.
It would, but in what we have in baseball is they're already hitting home runs, and in football is already a passing league. So this is what we've evolved into.
One other note that I just came across, and Schefter will be in our studio in about 25 minutes. Schefter just tweeted this. This is, I know, near and dear to the hearts of a lot of former football players who were guys who lived around the cut line, who lived in constant concern for their job. Based upon the new way they did it this year, where no team has cut basically anybody yet.
Right. You're basically going to go from 90 to 53 in one fell swoop.
Schefter just tweeted, by Saturday, 32 NFL teams will release roughly 37 players per team. That's almost 1,200 players released. Up to 320 will come back on practice squads, but something in the neighborhood of 865 aspiring football players will see their dream end this week.
Everybody got an extra week of those guys who would have been cut. They got an extra $1,100 in their pocket, extra time on film, which can help some because guys where the positions are really filled on the team they're on, they'll get on tape this last game and throughout preseason, and other teams that may be a little more deficient or need a little more depth or maybe a practice squad member, they can go to other teams. That's why from the business side, and again, it doesn't come into play, the Cowboys, at this preseason game that got canceled, the Cowboys still had 4 preseason games because they played in the Hall of Fame game.
Right.
The Texans had 3. Now, a lot of times by that 4th game, you pretty much have your roster set. There may be a couple of guys on the back end you're looking to and maybe some competition for some practice squad spots that now that some of the back end Texans players won't have. But still, they've gotten on tape before, and it doesn't measure. That's what they're doing is absolutely positively the right thing. I'm just covering all aspects
but it doesn't change the fact that for some of those guys,
it will affect them. Yes,
yeah, it's an opportunity they won't get.
They won't get
if they don't make the Texans. That some other team might see them on film.
That's exactly right. But it does. It pales in comparison. It's just touching all the bases of this in comparison to what's going on in Houston and the need for players to get back and really more healing there to keep going.
I heard Mikey talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
Mike was doing Bomani's show.
I was a 10th out of a 12th round guy. I was a back-end draft guy. Mike didn't get drafted. He was signed by Pittsburgh as a 7th round basically was going on, or right after the draft. So he was one of those guys that could use that extra tape. And, you know, it's unfortunate. It is. That's the business side of looking at this. But that being said, I believe it's the absolute right decision that was made by canceling this game.
Yeah, and so did he. He wasn't saying it was the wrong decision. It just is a factor. All right, let's do Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Vontaze Burfict had his suspension reduced from 5 games to 3 games. The question, Mike Golic, is should he have been suspended at all for the hit that he made that caused all of this discussion?
Again, it was a hit within a 5-yard area where you're actually allowed to touch a receiver with your hands or hit a receiver if you choose to hit him. Now, according to the NFL, he broke 2 rules. One is, and there was already the defenseless rule, but they've kind of added on to it. It was unnecessary contact against a player in a defenseless posture. So let's look at that. I mean, it was in the 5-yard hit area, and it was a player that was looking back at the quarterback. I mean, I guess I want to ask the NFL, what is a defender? I get, okay, if you don't want him to blast him, if you could just say, man, what a jerk. He didn't need to hit him like that.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
But what was illegal about it? I mean, if I'm an offense, I'm telling every player, no matter what, turn your head back to the quarterback. You now have become defenseless and can't get hit. If they want to say it was from the side or the back, to me it wasn't. Burfict came straight up. The receiver was turned because he was looking back at the quarterback within the 5-yard area. I have a hard time with that one, saying you're hitting a defenseless receiver. The other one that was broken said he hit a player who was out of the play. And again, you see the ball sailing further down the field. If you look at that play and understand Vontaze Burfict or a player is not looking at the entire field. Vontaze Burfict is looking at his responsibility. And at one point, and I could see it, you see the quarterback, he doesn't pump fake, but as the play is going on, when we show the play, we're already showing the pass. If you watch from the beginning of the play, he peeks down first. He looks that way first before throwing it long. And when he peeks, Burfict attacks. And he doesn't, whether he thinks the ball is coming there or not, the quarterback does peek. You can't tell me he doesn't. He peeks, and Burfict goes for his responsibility. Again, you could sit there and say he didn't need to do that and say, I don't like the guy, he's a jerk for doing it. That's fine. To me, is it illegal? And the NFL found 2 plays in which it was illegal, and I would say I disagree. The peek down made him go for his responsibility. And, defenseless, you have a 5-yard hit area. As I said, so if a receiver or back is in that 5-yard area and all they're doing is looking back at the quarterback, are you not allowed to touch him then? And he didn't hit him in the head because that wasn't brought up anywhere.
Correct.
That he was hit in the head. So I'm having a hard time with this one. The defense is already on their heels with where you can hit a guy. And this one, I honestly, I do not understand. And you wonder, how much is it Burfict? How much, if it was a linebacker X, what would have happened? Someone who hasn't been suspended and lost almost $1 million in fines.
This is his third 3-game suspension.
If it would have been different or not. Listen, do I think he steps over the line? Absolutely I do, without question. And I think some of his fines and suspensions have been absolutely justified. But I'm looking at this going, oh my God, how much can you take away? How much can you take away? The guy is in the 5-yard area looking back at the quarterback, and he got hit. What's a player in bang-bang plays supposed to look at and say, okay, I can only go there, then I have to stop and just put my hands on him? It's a physical game. People are going to get hit. And I get getting some of the vicious hits out of the game. I understand all that. But to me, this just got to a point where, wow, he peeked at him, he attacked his responsibility, and he hit a guy square up and didn't hit him in the head. To me, I just don't see it.
I come out of this with 2 questions. One is this an appropriate way to define a defenseless player? Because I've always thought of a defenseless player as one not necessarily who's not looking. Like the definition of a defenseless player is a punter with his leg in the air, right? There's nothing that guy can do.
Or a receiver who's going for the ball, or obviously, yeah.
That's how I've always envisioned.
Me too.
What they meant by a defenseless player. If you're all stretched out because you're diving for the ball, you don't have the ability to duck or whatever it is to sort of protect yourself. Defenseless. The definition of defenseless. In this case, they're now ruling defenseless covers players who are just not looking.
Just not looking. That was the new part that was added to this of a player not looking can't get hit.
Not being a former player, I sort of have to defer to the majority of former players as to whether that is an appropriate definition of it or not. To protect that guy in that spot, because as long as the game has been played, I've heard people say you got to keep your head on a swivel. You have to know where everybody is.
What you're taking away any kind of, and I don't think there's intimidation factor anymore, but how about a guy, if he runs a route, knows he's going to get hit, and making him have to think about that as well as trying to catch a pass. Now we're just saying, look at the quarterback. They can't touch you, so you can go ahead and catch a pass all you want.
Well, look, this may not be the right way to look at it, but if the ball had been thrown in that situation to the receiver, Anthony Sherman, coming out of the backfield, this would not have been a penalty.
No, it would not have been a penalty. Because if the ball didn't get to him and Burfict hit him before the ball got there, it would have been interference.
Yeah. The other side of it, though, is you use the right word. There is a penalty in the sport, and it was not invoked here, for unnecessary roughness. Is that an unnecessarily rough play? What I'm saying is, should you be allowed to contact the receiver inside of 5 yards? Yes. But did he need to do that? He obliterated the guy.
Now where's the line we're drawing?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Well, you're a former player. You know what a dirty play looks like. Is that a dirty play?
When I look at that, was it probably unnecessary? It probably was. But are we making that illegal? You can just say, come on, dude, you don't need to do that. But do you have to suspend him for 3 games for it?
Well,
another
player might have only been fined $20,000 for it, but maybe when you're him,
maybe nothing should have happened because you just say, that was.
But if you're trying to get unnecessary hits out of the game, then you can legislate against them.
The point was, it obviously is subjective. And when the quarterback peeked down to him, Burfict attacked. And if he never looked at him at all and Burfict just ran a beeline for him, no matter what the quarterback was doing, just ran straight for him and flattened him and ran him over, I could see more of that point. But I saw the peak, and this guy's a physical, hard player. Is
he physical or is he dirty?
Well, no, he actually absolutely has done some dirty things.
Is that a dirty play?
To me, it leans more to the, did you have to hit a guy like that? Probably not, but I also say it's football. You got pads on. You know what? What's so bad about making a guy think when he just comes trailing out of the backfield that he's not going to get touched in the 5-yard area? You're allowed to get hit there. So, I mean, to me, there's that fine line of saying, how much are we taking away? That's the one last area you can get hit. So if a guy gets drilled, you know what? Maybe put the onus on him. Maybe when you're coming out of the backfield, maybe you got to peek and find out where a linebacker is that's coming to hunt you up. You know, maybe, God forbid, you know, you get a little advantage to the defense that says the offensive player has to worry more about, you know, just turning and catching the ball and knowing no one can touch him if he's not facing the defense. So to me, that's where I go a little bit. We're getting a little too far away of, my God, the defense can basically just stand there until a guy catches the ball, then you go ahead and hit him.
I guess what I would say is it's one thing to not be able to touch a guy inside 5 yards. It's another thing to blow him up.
Let me ask you a question.
You didn't have to.
Next time that guy comes out, you think he's looking?
Probably.
Could that be an advantage for the defense?
Yeah.
God forbid.
I get it. Okay. Well, first of all, they don't make a lot of rules that are advantageous
no, they don't.
for the defense.
No, they don't.
And second of all, he kind of loses the benefit of the doubt because of the dirty history that he's had.
That I agree with. That's why I'm trying to separate the actual wording of what they're saying. I'm trying to take the player out of it and just saying if another player did it, I don't even want to attach a name to it, someone who had never been fined or never been suspended, what would have happened here? I'm trying to talk about more of, I just don't understand what we keep taking away from the game. I just don't agree with this.
All right, one way or another, he is suspended 3 games. It's the third time that he has been suspended. Excuse me. 3 games. It's the multiple 3-game suspensions. I misspoke. That was the second time he's suspended for 3 games.
Right.
He's the first player in the Goodell era to be given multiple 3-game suspensions for an on-field act. Straight Talk Wireless nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Meanwhile, Zeke Elliott's appeal. We got some details on what they are using in his appeal, what his defense is using in his appeal. And I was confused by it. The attribution on this is our Dan Graziano. Aside from questioning whether Elliott's conduct warranted a 6-game suspension, the union is also challenging the process by which the NFL arrived at 6 games and will cite a lack of precedent for a suspension of that length, according to a source with knowledge of the hearing. So here's the part of that I found confusing, and maybe you can help me with it. If there is no precedent for this, what there is quite recently and very publicly an announcement made by the National Football League that 6 games is kind of the benchmark. Yes, they can go a little less. Yes, they can go a little more. But generally speaking, I think anyone who's paying attention knows domestic violence equals 6 games, and then we'll figure it out from there. So I would have thought that if you're defending Zeke Elliott, all you can be doing, I would have guessed, was trying to argue the facts that he actually did it. If you're acknowledging that he did it, but you're arguing the process, I think you'll lose because 6 games is the 6 games.
Here's my thought, and it's the NFL's fault for this, quite honestly.
Why is that?
Because name me a guy who's gotten suspended for 6 games for domestic violence. Look at Josh Brown, 1 game.
Yeah, but didn't they put the policy in after that?
They the policy after Josh Brown? I don't think it was after Josh Brown.
When did they announce that it was going to be 6 games? I feel like that was after Harvey.
To me, yeah. The Hardy went 10-4 because they tried to have the new one in and
the new policy, old policy.
Here's my
thought.
Was
Brown after 6 games? I forget. I'm losing track of the timeline.
I think Brown was after it, but I'm not positive. We'll find out. Here's my point. I'm saying it's on the NFL. The NFL should have never said it can be less than 6 games. Never. If they said if it's egregious and we want to make it more, we can. We should have said if we find something and there's going to be a suspension, it's going to be 6 games, and we're going to start. And that's the starting point. But once you go lower than that, it does open it up to saying, okay, why did he get X games and he get 6 games? So you can bring that to question. So that's where. While I'm glad the NFL put the policy into play, I wish they would have just said, if we do an investigation and we find there's some guilt there, it's starting at 6 games. It's starting. That's the absolute positive bare minimum you're going to get is 6 games. That's how we feel about domestic violence. And if our investigation finds that we feel there was something there, it's 6 games. You know, and that may be a lot, and the union may fight it and say this is ridiculous. But to your point of Ray Rice, you should have suspended him for a year and let him fight it. To me, this policy should have been, we do an investigation, we see something that is domestic violence, it's 6 games. It's 6 games. That's where it starts.
So you're right. The policy went into place August of 2014. New policy, 6 games. The Josh Brown thing happened 2 years later. Well, then shame on them. How they screwed that up, I have no idea.
Well, one of the things there is Josh Brown. There was no, his wife was not cooperative in this one. Obviously, there was a lot of cooperation going on, which brings up a lot of question for people saying, why is Zeke being suspended at all? There's a lot of people think some shady things had gone on there. But with Josh Brown, I mean, did the league blow that one? I think they did. Yeah. I mean, given some of the information that they had, but they did 1 game. Should be 6, and then we got no issue here at all. It is 6 if we find anything, and it's not that way. So I can understand for now them saying, okay, you think we did it? Why 6 then? Why 6? You did 1 here. Why 6?
I get it. The only thing I'll say is I would have thought they would. And maybe they are also arguing he didn't do it.
Right.
I mean,
and they're arguing procedural things as well. That maybe can use
if there was a
court
policy that says 6 on it, the number 6 is written on the piece of paper.
6 is written there.
Tough to,
but you know what you got to keep doing? You got to keep reading it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Or you've got to look at also the history of what they've done with it.
Right.
The Josh Brown thing was another major mistake. So they got Ray Rice totally wrong, and they got Josh Brown totally wrong.
After they put in the new policy.
And they're sort of paying for that now with this. I don't think Zeke Elliott's suspension is going to get reduced.
I don't either. I hope they stay. It's 6, and I wish they would change their policy and just say it's 6. That is the absolute bare minimum. You want to fight it in court, you want to fight it in appeal, that's fine. But this is where we're starting.
We'll get the latest from Adam Schefter. He'll join us in our studio coming up. Where Mike and Mike were presented by Progressive Insurance. Another reminder coming up on our Shell Pennzoil Performance Line later this morning. 2 coaches from Houston on this #Day of Giving for all of us at the Walt Disney Company. Bill O'Brien, coach of the Texans, in about 40 minutes, and then A.J. Hinch, manager of the Astros, in the 9 o'clock hour Eastern, 8 o'clock hour Houston time, as we are doing our best to try and help you find ways to help everyone affected by Hurricane Harvey. And I'll remind you once more, redcross.org/ESPN, or you can text the word Harvey to 90999 to make a $10 donation.
It's a great way to be able to, again, if you want to give this way, if there are other ways that you can find a way as well, but right now we have people helping people, really people helping a lot, animals, everything, and it's great to see. So we just hope that the giving keeps on giving.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Shefty joins us here bright and early. Good morning, Shefty.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Let's start with Vontaze Burfict. I know we'll get to Zeke Elliott in a minute, but I want to start with Burfict because Golic has been really hot on this all week long. And what did you hear from people about the role that Burfict's history played in this being deemed an illegal hit at all? Mike is looking at the play, and he's questioning whether this should have been considered even a penalty, much less something that was finable and suspensionable. What are you hearing from people in the league?
I think if rookie defensive player X makes that hit, I don't think he gets suspended at all. And I know it's a new rule for the league this year that it's implementing, but the fact of the matter is Vontaze Burfict's history absolutely played a part in it. He's had numerous fines, numerous violations, numerous instances where the league felt he violated the rules, where he's been handed down fines, where he's been suspended. He was suspended 3 games for hitting Antonio Brown in a playoff game for an accumulation of his previous behavior. So because of his history, that absolutely factored into the 5 games. And I think when James Thrash, the appeals officer, looked at the hit in his own mind as a former player, he looked at it and said, this hit does not deserve 5 games. But we're going to give it 3 games. It's a new rule. And so Vontaze Burfict missed the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll just disagree. I mean, I spoke in my piece on that, but that happens. But no, the one thing we do definitely agree on: his history. He loses the benefit of the doubt to a lot of people because of his history, and a guy that unfortunately is building a little bit of a history early on in his career is Zeke Elliott with the suspension of the 6 games and now the appeal process running 2 days and going into a 3rd day today. Anything new on that or when this could be over? If everything's done by Friday, how soon a decision could be made?
Yeah, my understanding is that we're going to get a decision we're likely to get a decision between Friday night and Monday. So that means at some point this weekend we are likely to hear something. Now, again, there's a lot of chatter going on. The appeal process is still unfolding. And I have always been of the mind that I thought it would be tough for him to get it reduced. But the more that I've spoken to people, And the more that I've heard, the more I think that he has a real chance to have some games knocked off the suspension here. Now, I don't know whether it goes from 6-5, 6-4, 6-2. We'll see. But I'm just telling you, the sense I'm getting is that there's a chance, he stands a real chance of getting some games reduced here. And then the question is whether or not he would take it to court. And I don't know that he could take it to court in such a way where he'd be granted an injunction or a stay and be able to play the opener. There's so much to still be determined here right now in this particular case. And there have been so many people that are asking about this, and they have their own reasons for asking about it. There's the case as it stands on its own, the significance of it, and then there's also outside areas that people are very consumed by for you could figure out the obvious reasons. But the more that I talk to people, and I was not of this mind, the more I sense that there's a real chance that he could have some time knocked off here.
Based on what, Schefter? Are you hearing that specifically? What Mike and I were just going through the possibilities. Is it based on Josh Brown only getting one game even after the 6-game policy had been put in?
No, it's the facts of the case. And again, they're coming in, and there is sworn testimony in this case, and I'm sure some of the sworn testimony over time will emerge, and everybody will get to see what has and has not been said here the last 24, 48 hours and during the course of this appeal hearing. But, and I've not been allowed there, nor have a lot of people been allowed there. We don't even know where it is in New York City. They're keeping that at an undisclosed location, so they want to keep this as much under wraps as possible. I'm just telling you, the sense that I get is from what's being said there that there's a chance here that there could be some time knocked off, and we'll see whether or not that's true. I might be completely off base. The people I'm speaking to might be off base, right? It might not happen, but I'm just telling you, I that's a sense I'm getting, and we'll see if it's right.
Yep, we will see if it's right. Let's go on the field a little bit. Joe Hayden, released by the Browns, was supposed to make $11 million there. Didn't want to take a pay cut. Gets a 3-year, $27 million deal, $7 guaranteed for this year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Had other visits lined up. Had supposedly other better offers. Why did he want to stay in Pittsburgh?
Well, I think that, listen, he's played in that division. He knows that they're going to be competitive. He knows that they're going to have a chance to win the AFC North, which is something he hasn't had a chance to do. There's a real chance he's going to go to the playoffs. You know, there were other teams that I think that were interested. I think we all could identify teams that could use some cornerback help. The Chiefs, the Saints, the Dolphins, all good teams, all competitive teams. But I think that there probably was something to be said for playing for a team that you see every year, twice a year, you know is consistent, you know is going to win, you know has a real chance this year. There are people on that team that he knows, that he's friendly with, and listen, it's a sure bet. If you go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know that the overwhelming chances are that your team's going to be relevant and good and have a real chance to get to the playoffs, which is something you've never had a chance to do. And again, they came at him with a 3-year deal. It's $7 million guaranteed the first year. The Cleveland Browns wanted to knock down his salary to about $7 million. He didn't want to do that. So he basically gets the same money the Browns wanted to knock him down to, except he gets to go play for that money in Pittsburgh as opposed to Cleveland. And, oh, by the way, the two teams open the regular season against one another here in about 10 days.
That they do. Mike and Schefter, two quarterback situations. When will we see Joe Flacco, and when will we see Andrew Luck?
Joe Flacco is going to play in the opener against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Is that for sure? I mean, they keep pushing this thing back, Schefter. That's the reason. I know that they keep saying that, but you know, he was only going to miss a week of camp. I remember you were in here talking with us that one day when the Kaepernick conversation first started. It sounded like he was going to miss a week of camp, and here we are now a week away from the season.
Joe Flacco is expected to play in the regular season opener against the Cincinnati Bengals. Not an issue.
Yeah,
he'll be out there on opening day. And as for Andrew Luck, much more uncertainty. And I think with Andrew Luck, we know this, that they have said that he's not going to open the season on PUP, which means that they are not ready to sideline him for 6 weeks. And they feel all along that that's going to hold up. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not going to miss 1, 2, 3, 4 games. I think he's going to miss the start of the season. I think everybody has come to expect and accept that right now. He's not even practicing, and we're 10 games away from the start of the season. So the question is how soon they can get back. If you're asking me for a guess today about how much time he misses, I'd say he misses the first roughly month of the season. That's my guess.
Wow.
And we'll see whether or not that pans out. That's just a guess.
Right.
Look, he's not practicing yet, right? We're basically almost to September, and he's not practicing yet. So they want to be very careful. Everybody in that organization is going to be very cautious. They have said openly they don't believe that they have to put him on PUP, which means he'd be out for 6 weeks. So it's going to be somewhere less than 6 weeks. Doesn't look like he's going to be ready to open the season, but not 6 weeks. So right in the middle is 3 weeks, right?
All right, Schefter, as far as the last preseason game, Cowboys-Texans, that's been canceled. We're going to have Bill O'Brien, the Texans head coach, on in about a half hour. Talk of their first game. They want to play it in Houston next Sunday. There's talk of swapping with Jacksonville, going to Jacksonville, having Jacksonville come to Houston later in the season. Where are those talks, if anywhere?
I don't think they're very far along right now. Obviously, a lot will have to do with the condition of NRG Stadium in Houston. But I can tell you this. The Texans as an organization do not want to do that because that would mean that they are not home in Houston until October. The Jacksonville Jaguars as an organization do not want to do that because then I forget the reasoning they'd have. I'd have to look at their schedule. It's like 3 straight games at home, or they'd have like 3 straight in October. But I can tell you, having spoken to people in both organizations, nobody wants to do that. Now, the logistics are such that they may have no choice, right? If the stadium's unplayable, they're going to have to do that. But that's an idea that nobody wants to see go forward at this point in time, and we'll see whether or not the logistics prevent these sides from getting their wishes.
And final thought, one of the best things we got going now is Schefter's podcast, Know Them from Adam, in which this week you talked to a couple of the quarterbacks that teams are, quote-unquote, tanking for, in Josh Allen and Sam Darnold. Give us, for those who haven't heard it, give us one big takeaway.
Well, I think that they both would really be happy playing for the San Francisco 49ers. It's a team that appeals to both guys. I think Josh Allen grew up loving that team, and this is a draft class in 2018 that teams already are salivating over. It's getting comparisons to the quarterback draft class of 83. We could get up to 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round of the draft in 2018, and I think you're starting to see that in some of the moves that these teams are making. Everybody's got an eye on the quarterbacks in the 2018 draft. Josh Allen, Sam Darnold are 2 of the quarterbacks near the top of that list, and they're both on the Know Them from Adam podcast this week, which you can get at the ESPN app or on iTunes.
Yeah, everyone is looking to stink for Sam, and I cleaned that up. That's not the word most people are using. Schefter, thank you.
I asked him about it, Greeny. I asked him. He did not want to go there. He did not want to talk about that very much.
Yeah, well, and I don't like talking about it either, but it is what it is. Thank you, Schefter.
Thanks,
but it's a reality. You guys have a great weekend.
Home isn't just a place, it's a feeling that you're safe to enjoy the things that matter most. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, we help keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance, so you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling for less than $1 a day. ADT. Home, safe home.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million. What color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Every now and again, we on this program get a privilege of trying to help make a difference. And today we're doing that. All of the programs across ABC and ESPN are trying to help people today with a hashtag Day of Giving, which I'm thrilled to say is the #1 trending topic in the United States, helping people affected by Hurricane Harvey a couple of different ways, and we have a lot of stuff up on social media for you to find. But you can go to redcross.org/ESPN. You can text the word Harvey to 90999 to make a $10 donation. We'll be talking with Bill O'Brien, the coach of the Texans, in just a minute, and A.J. Hinch, the manager of the Astros, in our next hour as well, and get you some sense of what's happening there in Houston as it relates to the teams in sports, which, of course, is not the most important piece of this by any means. But for those who are sitting and watching these images on their television and saying, what can I do to help? We're trying to help you find ways to do that.
There are ways to help, whether it's donation with money, a donation of other things as well, depending on your area, and trucks going down to the affected areas. So there are certainly ways for everybody to get involved if they choose to.
The hashtag is Day of Giving. I'd love to see that keep trending all day long, because people will then look and see, oh, what's this about? And then they click on it, and then the next thing you know, hopefully millions of dollars can be raised to try and help. Again, Bill O'Brien will join us in a minute. We are doing our regular show today, however, of course, with all the sports news. And so let's do off the top here quickly while we wait for Coach. Cliff Pennington hit a grand slam yesterday. It was the game winner in a game between the Angels and the A's. So you might say, why would that lead the show? Well, Mike, tell them why.
Well, it's the second time in 3 months there have been over 1,100 home runs hit in baseball. The record was set in June of 1,101. Well, that's where we are right now in August with one more day to go. So that record is going to be broken. Home runs right now are being hit at an incredible rate. Over 5,000 have been hit. They're on pace for 6,183. The record is just under 5,700. So they're looking to smash that record. And how prevalent is the home run in today's game this season? 42.6% of all home runs this season have come by home run, which is the highest percentage in Major League Baseball history. That's really an amazing thing.
It's actually here's a bad statistic for the sport. 33% of plate appearances. So a third of every at-bat in the majors have ended in a walk, a strikeout, or a home run. Now, originally, the foundation of the sport is the batted ball, right? I mean, it's actual action
Put the ball in
happening.
play, yeah.
A walk, a strikeout, or a home run, you don't get any of that. It's not good for the sport, and it's not changing. What else? Second round of the U.S. Open. Venus won yesterday. Maria Sharapova won yesterday, and Roger Federer showed up in Central Park to hit with fans.
Venus Williams got her 73rd U.S. Open match win that ties with Steffi Graf. Ahead of them, Martina Navratilova and Serena Williams each have 89 wins. Chris Everett, the young lady that you hit in the butt with a serve when you were playing mixed doubles with her.
Yes, we did.
She has 101 wins. So Venus open for her. Maria Sharapova with some of the top seeds losing and Serena not being there. And we know Federer looking for that 6th U.S. Open title.
Off the top.
The trade is done in the NBA. Woj with the reporting yesterday that the Cavaliers get an additional second-round pick based on their belief that the Celtics weren't completely upfront with them about Isaiah Thomas's injury. One way or another, the deal is done.
Deal is done, and Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, unprotected first-rounder from the Brooklyn Nets, which could be as high as 1, and I wouldn't think any lower than 5, and that might be stretching it, and a second-rounder in 2020. I mean, they got a haul. They got a haul for a guy in Kyrie who didn't want to be around. Okay, you don't want to be around? We'll trade you, and, man, you got a lot back for him.
Off the top.
Joe Hayden had an eventful day yesterday, and one day he was cut by the Browns and then signed a 3-year contract with their arch-rival Steelers.
Yeah, Drew Rosenhaus's agent said he'll have a job within a week. It should have amended that job within a day. I mean, so he went to Pittsburgh and basically didn't leave. Saints were interested, Chiefs, Cowboys. Maybe you could have got a better deal somewhere. He goes to Pittsburgh. You know what kind of a team you have in Pittsburgh. You have a team that we always talk about as one of the top that can compete with New England for the best team in the AFC. First game he plays this regular season, just next Sunday, is against the Cleveland Browns, his former team. This is Cleveland just sticking with their plan. He made too much money. They wanted him to take a pay cut. He didn't, so they released him. Cleveland is sticking with their plan, so we'll see where it takes him. Joe Hayden gets on a new team, gets paid a good amount of money, and has a great chance of going far in the playoffs.
Off the top.
And for the second time this week, the college basketball world mourning one of its legends. After the death of Judd Heathcote just a few days ago, yesterday, we lose the legendary Rolly Massimino at the age of 82, who was a lifer and was coaching basically right up until the end of his life, but will always be remembered for leading Villanova to one of the most improbable championships of all time in 1985.
19 of his 41 years as a head coach were at Villanova. 2013, he got inducted into the College Basketball Hall of Fame. And 85 that year, what a year. Lost twice to Georgetown in the regular season. Then ends up playing them. Georgetown, obviously a number 1 seed in the championship game. The Final Four, they beat number 2 Memphis. The Elite Eight, they beat number 2 North Carolina. In the second round, they beat number 1 Michigan. I mean, just an incredible run for that team led by Raleigh.
Off the top.
We'll talk to John Thompson Jr. a little bit later about his memory of coaching against Massimino. Mike and Mike, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, including this one. Again, today is the hashtag Day of Giving, and I continue attaching the hashtag because I want everyone have their attention drawn to that as it's out there on social media, which is such a huge part of the way that we raise money and raise awareness and raise other things to support the people in and around the Houston area. A reminder that you can go to redcross.org/ESPN or text the word Harvey to 90999 to make a $10 donation. And we're very pleased to welcome to the program now our friend, the head coach of the Texans, Bill O'Brien, to just share with us some thoughts on what's going on there and give us a sense of how this is impacting his team and what the team is doing to try to help. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Well, we're doing fine. More importantly, how are you doing, and how is the team doing, and what could you tell us now that you are back in Houston about what you've seen, what you've witnessed, and what the organization is doing to try and be a part of helping?
Yeah, we're doing a lot better that we're home now. I think it was a long week for us, only because we've gone to New Orleans, and then the storm hit while we were playing New Orleans, and we had to divert to Dallas. And the biggest thing was, our families, especially the players' families, the coaches' families. Some people were in really, really bad hit areas, and so. It was a feeling of helplessness, and then plus the fact our players really want to help the city, and we weren't there to do that. So now we're back, and, we're going to do something tonight over at the NRG Center. We're going to probably do something Sunday, hand out supplies at the George Brown Center. Everybody's knowing what JJ has done, which is incredible. I think that's upwards of whatever, $7 million, $8 million. So, I think we're going to do our part, and it's, that's the McNairs. The McNairs really feel strongly about this city and helping get this city back on their feet. Bob and Janice McNair do a great job of that with this team, and, we're going to do our part.
Actually, I think JJ's just under $10 million now. I mean, it's been incredible.
Well, I slept for a couple hours, so I missed the next few minutes.
So, Coach, as far as the game, can you take us through that process when we heard the game was going to go to Dallas? Seemed like an easy solution to fix to get that fourth preseason game, but obviously what's going on becomes so much more important. So can you take us through the process of how that was communicated with you, or how maybe you guys communicated with the league saying, hey, we want to get home, we don't want to do this? What was that process like?
Well, I think, first of all, I give a lot of credit to Rick Smith, our general manager. He was the one that was mostly in contact with the league. I spoke to a couple people over the week, but it was mainly Rick Smith. And I think at the end of the day, it came down to, these guys had been away from their families. They really had to get back to help their families. A lot of guys' families have been relocated, coaches and players. And so it was important to try to get back as soon as possible. That's where it became, much more about family than football, especially with the fourth preseason game. I mean, I don't want to go down that road, but I'm just telling you, it was a lot more important for our guys to get back with their families. So, I think in conjunction with the Dallas Cowboys, who, by the way, let us use their facility all week to practice, so we didn't really skip a beat as far as practice goes. We were able to get over to the Star and practice, and that was great. And but as far as playing the game, it was time to get home, and that's what we decided to do.
Bill O'Brien, the head coach of the Texans, with us here again. If you would like to try and help the folks in the Houston area, you can go to redcross.org/ESPN. You can text the word Harvey to 90999 to make a $10 donation. And can you just give us a sense of what you have witnessed since you've been back there? You had not had the chance to be there. We've seen all the images on our television screens and more. What have you seen? What can you share with our audience about what it is like in Houston right now?
Yeah, I took a ride around. We got back, around 5 o'clock, and got home to my neighborhood. My neighborhood, luckily, doesn't flood nearly as bad as other neighborhoods. So my wife and I, we got in the car and drove around, 3 streets over, just in our little neighborhood. And, you have water, probably 4 or 5 feet deep, or maybe the water's receding and you see all the people's belongings on the sidewalk, meaning the water had gotten into their home and now they had, it had ruined a lot of things on their first floor and in their basements or whatever it is. So, and that's just a little trip, maybe a 5-mile trip. And so today I think we'll see more tonight and then over the weekend as we travel around Houston and try to do our part as far as handing supplies out and helping people get back on their feet, bring a smile to their face or whatever it is. So it's tough, Greeny. I'm from the East Coast. I grew up in outside of Boston. I've never seen anything like it. And it's going to take a while to get back, but this city's tough. This is a tough city. I've been here for 4 years. These people here are great. We got great fans here, and they're going to get back on their feet quickly.
Greeny and I were down in New Orleans when the Saints played their first game after Hurricane Katrina, and saw the people and just their response to having a game there and trying to move past everything that had gone on. Obviously, still living with a lot of it. I know you guys desperately want to play your opening game next week in Houston. You don't want it to be moved. Why? What's the meaning behind it to you for you guys to be in that stadium next Sunday?
Well, I believe if our stadium is ready to go and we feel like people can get to the game, we feel strongly about playing the game in our stadium. Obviously that would be in conjunction with the mayor and the city council and all that, but I do feel strongly about playing it. And I think the reason why is Mike, is that, having been down here for 4 years, having been in a lot of places coaching football is king down here. And people love their team. They love the Texans. They love their college teams. And I think that in this time, maybe for 3 hours on a Sunday, it gives them a chance to not think about, the journey back to where they have to get to and come cheer for the Texans. And we have a fantastic home crowd advantage. We really do. We have a loud crowd. Just I can only imagine what it would be like on that day. And so we feel strongly about playing the game, and mostly because, hopefully it would give our fans a little bit of a reprieve from the cleanup.
Well, listen, Coach, we wish you the best and all of your players and obviously everyone there. And we're doing our part today, and I know you guys will be doing your part over the course of the next days and weeks and probably long beyond that. So thanks for taking a few minutes for us this morning. Good luck with everything, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bill O'Brien with us, Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. He's on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And I'll repeat again, on this hashtag Day of Giving, you can visit redcross.org/ESPN, or you can just text the word Harvey to 90999 to make a $10 donation.
Yeah, so those guys are happy to be back in Houston. They want to jump in and help, physically be there and help where they can. As Coach said, they'll be at a couple of places the next couple of nights, and I'm sure players on their own will be in other places as well helping. We've seen so much of that from everyday people out there just helping and doing heroic things as well. And it's going to obviously keep going for a while. They're going to need help for a long while.
Well, look, sports are a way, maybe the best way that we have in our communities of bringing people together. They used to always say the millionaire and the cab driver could sit next to each other on bar stools and have something in common while watching a ball game. And that's a piece of this. So I get it. I totally get the idea of having something. When I heard, my original thought was, I can't imagine the Texans are going to play a home game in 10 days. But when I heard the Astros are playing on Saturday, that just changed my perspective. Yep. And listen, at the end of the day, my opinion on that is totally irrelevant. Mm-hmm. They'll do whatever is in the best interest of everybody down there, and that's what they should do. And I whatever it is, will obviously be fine with us. What do we know? We're sitting here. So if they can play the home game a week from Sunday, great. That strikes me as not the most important piece of this, but if they can and it helps people, then I'm all good.
They obviously, as Bill said, talk with the mayor, and you have to figure out, all the ancillary parts of this, all the people you need to put on, whether it's a baseball game or a football game, can they all be there? Do they all want to leave what they're doing to go work a game? Is that the best thing to do? Then that's something, obviously, they are going to decide. But I'm with you. When I heard that the Astros were going to play, again, they were supposed to play Friday, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. They're going to make it a doubleheader on Saturday and then one on Sunday. I was a little surprised as well. Not that the place would be ready to play, but all the people that you need to make something like that engine run, that they wouldn't be needed somewhere else. But that's obviously all their decisions there, and you have to be behind it 100%.
All right, we are Mike and Mike. Again, doing our regular show today. I mean, while we are proud to be a part of the Walt Disney Company's Day of Giving, we are just doing our show this morning here as normal, and there's a lot of different reaction to a variety of different topics that we've had here this morning, including your take on Vontaze Burfict. And it's just interesting for me to see where the stuff on Burfict comes down from a lot of our audience, because many people are saying what I'm saying, which is, I hear you on that's an impossible thing to legislate out of the sport. I hear you on football being a violent sport. I hear you on all of that. Like this one from John Fleming. Thank you, Golic. Nothing wrong with that hit. What is he supposed to do? But then there's just a part of me that says that's just a blatantly dirty play and unnecessary. You don't have to do it. I don't know where that falls on the spectrum of illegal versus should it be a penalty versus should it be what?
When you say it's unnecessary, does it have an effect the next time that guy comes out for that pass? So if the point is, if it does, then was that hit unnecessary? If now you have one of your eligible receivers thinking about looking where's that linebacker and not being able to maybe get the pass thrown to him right away in the amount of time he needs, that's all I'm asking. Football's a bang-bang game. It's thinking and reacting quickly. Does that look unnecessary? You see the ball traveling over the head, of them, But as I said, do I see him peek at that receiver? Yes, I do when I'm watching the play and breaking it down. It's ever so slight, but it's there. And Burfict attacks. That's what he does. Does he cross the line times? Absolutely.
So hold on. Let me stop you there for a second because I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. You're saying the quarterback for a brief second, and I see it. I see what you're looking at on the play. Looks down at the check down, then looks up. What you're saying is that Burfict, because you've been there and I've not, his job from where he is, which is something in the neighborhood of 8 or 9 yards off the line of scrimmage, he sees the quarterback look down, and at that moment, he puts his head down and breaks for the receiver.
To me, he attacks at that point. When he sees it, he attacks.
So he may not know the ball is thrown over his head.
He may not, and people could say, well, he's got to be aware of that. My point is there are 22 people on the field, all with different responsibilities. If that's his, when he sees the peak, he attacks. Now, there are those that are saying, well, he attacked. He didn't have to hit him that way. Okay, I see what you're saying, but again, it's within the 5 yards, and they're saying with the new part of the rule, you can't hit him from the side or the back. He hits him from the side. The only reason he hits him from the side is because the running back is turned, or the receiver is turned looking back at the quarterback. He's straight and square up the field. So, I mean, you're so damning the defender in ways that they can defend anymore. I just didn't see it in this one. But as I said, I understand with Burfict, he loses all benefit of the doubt. And that's one of the big reasons for the suspension. They're explaining to me why it was illegal. To me, I'm just not seeing it. When you look at it, does it kind of go, yeah, you kind of do. But as I said, it's within that 5 yard area, and God forbid a eligible receiver wonder if he's going to get hit as opposed to catching a pass and just make it easy for him to look back at the quarterback knowing you can't basically be touched until he catches the ball.
That is sort of an element of the game that is going away.
Yep,
right?
It is. Yes,
the intimidation factor of the game has already candidly been taken
absolutely.
away.
And I get it because a lot of times it was guys launching, and I absolutely understand launching, taking that out, launching, putting your head down and all that. Something Burfict has done in the past and got nailed for. He didn't in this case, but I get some of the things they're trying to get out of the game, yes.
The best of Mike and Mike.
All right, I'm told Bub is ready to go, so let's do this.
It's time for another edition of Love It.
Oh, this is fun.
Or Shove It with Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio.
All right, Love It or Shove It, which is brought to you by Granger, is also brought to you, of course, by Brendan Bubba Peregrine, who joins us, and I'm confused here because Bubba appears to be in the middle of his fantasy draft.
What's up, guys? Yep.
And I don't know how he's going to have time to present all of the Love It or Shove It topics.
I can sneak him in real quick, but we're doing the rare 8:30 a.m. fantasy draft at the bar. So, that's what our group likes to do, but, the beers are flowing. It's fine.
Beers are flowing. Nice.
All right, so either give us a pick or give us the first topic, whichever you
I'll do both. I think they always say go with a running back, right? Is that the pick? So, let's see. I don't want Zeke's. I'm going to go first pick. Bilal Powell will be my first pick. So
wow, I want to be in your league. Is it a money league?
So I got Powell. Let's go.
I'm telling you right now, as ridiculous as this sounds,
I do like him actually.
And they're going to trade away Matt Forte from everything I'm hearing. So if they trade away Forte, Powell becomes.
I do like Powell. Yeah, I agree.
I'm hearing good pick, right?
The centerpiece of the worst offense in the NFL. So.
Yeah. First pick of the draft, huh?
All right, that's well done.
Get a running back,
All right, I love that pick. Now let's see what else you have for Love It or Shove It.
All right, the Celtics will finish with the best record in the East. Love it or shove it?
I shove it. I do think it's going to be the Cavaliers. I think they are going to, we'll see what the whole shifting of schedule, making the season a little longer will do for the rest part of this. But I do think the Cavaliers will be the number 1 seed this year.
Yes, I think that because of the schedule. Now, look, the Celtics got better because Irving is an upgrade, and the addition of Hayward is obviously huge. But I think the Cavaliers, this is going to be very poor English, got more better because I think what they added for Irving is equal. Let's call it equal with the additions of Crowder and Moore. And I think that the less rest will mean more LeBron, which means more wins. So I think the Cavaliers will retake the number 1 seed in the conference, as irrelevant as that felt a year ago. So I, too, shove it. Bubba, next.
All right. With the second pick here, I think I guess I'm in a PPR league, which something about reception, so I got to go receiver. And with the second pick, I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson.
Anderson. For those across America who have no idea who he's talking about, he will probably be the Jets' leading receiver this year.
Oh, nice.
And the fact that you have no idea who he is should give you some indication of how bad the Jets are going to be.
Bubba going with the sneaky draft.
Well, with Enunwa down, he's like the
he's
hurt. The only experienced guy they have left.
It's a good thing you didn't pick Enunwa. He's hurt.
Yeah, he was. Thank you for that tip. I didn't know he was hurt.
Yeah, he might have been your next pick.
I think you're doing this well.
I would really like to play against Bubba in his fantasy league. Meanwhile, love it or shove it next.
The loser of Alabama, Florida State will still reach the college football playoff. Love it or shove it.
I'm going to say I shove it. I'm going to say who loses this game, they're going to drop another one throughout the rest because they'd have to basically go undefeated. Making the Final Four, we've never had a 2-loss team in it in just a few years we've been doing it. So whoever loses can't lose another one. I think they will. I think that there is that pressure of knowing you can't lose another one. And I think they will drop another one. So I do think the loser will end up losing another one and not make it.
I'm also going to say I shove it. I believe Alabama will win this game, and I don't think Florida State gets through a loaded ACC this year without dropping another game. I do think Alabama could lose this game and still make it. But, that's selling short some good teams in the SEC also.
Absolutely right.
And they've gotten tripped up historically over the years here or there. So I will also shove it. I believe the loser of this game will not make the college football playoff. Bubba, next.
All right. With my third pick here, I think I'm going to go a little off the board here, and I'm going to go – let's get some special teams involved. Chandler Catanzaro is my third pick.
He's kicking for the Jets now.
I expect a lot of field goals.
They don't have Nick Folk anymore. Catanzaro, who used to be on the Cardinals, is now the Jets.
Let me tell you what, expecting a lot of field goals is actually pretty smart.
I'll tell you this. The Jets, I would bet you, will score fewer touchdowns than any team in the NFL this season. So that could lend itself to some field goals. That's actually not a bad pick.
Here we are trying to
not
justify
a bad pick.
No, I don't think I would take him third
no.
in the third round.
I mean, Bubba, you're still an idiot, but we can try and make justifications for all your
Amongst kickers, that's not a terrible pick.
I like it.
All right, Bubba, next.
The NFL was correct in reducing Vontaze Burfict's suspension from 5 games to 3. Love it or shove it?
Well, just for the fact that it went down, I would love it that it went down, but I shoved the whole suspension in the first place, quite honestly. I don't see it. Other than it being Vontaze Burfict, and he loses all rights, basically, because of his history. I just didn't see the play the way the NFL did, and I wouldn't have suspended him at all. But I am glad they dropped it a couple of games.
I will actually say love it because while I understand what's wrong with that play, even if it's an impossible position you're putting the defender in, 5 games just felt heavy. I understand it's not a 5-game suspension for that play. It is an accumulation of all the things that have happened. But 5 games felt like too much no matter how you sliced it. So I am glad that they took it down to 3. We're loving or shoving it with Bubba. Next.
All right, with the 4th pick, let's get a quarterback. I'm told I can't take Tony Romo.
Oh, no.
So I'll take the next best thing.
Please tell me
Christian Hackenberg. Let's go. Come on down.
All right. This one, there's no way we can justify.
I'm actually enjoying this shtick. No, you can justify.
I'm just trying to win a fantasy league.
Here's how you can justify.
That's gone.
I believe he is going to play. I believe that no matter how lost he appears, he is going to play. So he will get the fact that he's picking someone who is not a Week 1 starter, which might appear ridiculous on his face.
Savvy move.
Do you think he gets the look before Bryce Petty? I have a feeling their minds are somewhat made up on Hackenberg.
I think it depends on how quickly they go to the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I think if they go to the bullpen week 4, then Petty goes first. If they go to the bullpen week 8 or 9, they have to find out about Hackenberg. I think they've made up their minds on Petty.
All right. I'm not all that.
Either way,
sure
the quarterback situation is brutally bad,
horrible.
and no one cares. But no one can blame me for injecting Jets into this conversation. This one's all on Bubba.
It's true.
Love it or shove it. Next.
Joe Hayden will make a Pro Bowl with the Steelers. Love it or shove it.
Wow. He's been to 2 Pro Bowls in 13 and in 14. Second-team All-Pro, actually, in 2013. Pittsburgh scores a lot of points, so opponents will have to throw more, I think, against them. I think, though, I'm going to shove this and say he's not going to. I think he's very happy where he got. Cleveland wanted to cut his salary from $11 million to $7 million. He said no. He ended up getting $7 million guaranteed this year from Pittsburgh, but he's on a playoff team that can really do some damage.
He's a big winner in this.
He absolutely is. But I'm going to say I shove it. I don't think he makes another Pro Bowl.
Me too. Bubba, loving it or shoving it. We have time for one more. Next.
All right, so I think just to play it safe, I think I just want to get another special teamer in there. I'm going to go Lucky Whitehead, number 5. Lucky Whitehead.
Isn't he hurt?
He's hurt.
So
he's hurt.
That's
Bubba.
my squad there.
He's just someone you've heard of.
Bubba, he's
At
hurt.
this point, Bubba is just naming Jets he's heard of.
God forbid he took the Jets' defense.
Which is the only thing the Jets have that's good.
Yeah, we'll go with Lucky.
Lucky Whitehead is Bubba's selection.
Is this a pay league? Did you have to give him
J-E-T-E. Jets.
Did you have to give him money
Why did you
to
end
join
with
this
an E
league?
there?
Did you ever watch the draft?
Did you just misspell that, or
happened in
Can
the
someone
draft?
explain it to him?
Happened in the draft. It was one of the guys who got up
you
and
spelled it wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
You missed that?
Missed it.
Somehow I missed it. I watched the draft. This year's draft.
I guess you didn't.
I was
87's draft.
Okay, let's move it on. Go ahead, Bubba. Next.
Ezekiel Elliott will play Week 1 against the Giants. Love it or shove it.
Oh, I shove it. I don't think there's any way he's playing.
Me neither.
He's going to be suspended. I think 6. Schefter kind of seemed to crack the door a little bit to think it might go down.
I think it will go down. Based upon all the history that we read here this morning, I think it does go down.
Well, I tell you, that would be something, but I don't think it goes any lower than
Now, the way it
3
goes,
to 4.
the way he plays Week 1 is if they then try to take this thing to court quickly,
get a stay,
and that winds up getting stayed, which I don't think they'll do. If the thing gets reduced, I think they'll just take it and go. So I believe ultimately he will not play. Tony Richardson at the draft started a Jets chant and said J-E-T-E. How did I miss that?
I don't know.
How did that come and go and I missed it completely?
Probably a
because you didn't really
memory.
watch the draft.
I watched the draft.
Well, you obviously didn't. If a guy from your own team spelled your own team's name wrong and you missed it.
Now that you're saying it, I sort of vaguely remember.
I imagine the drop was played the next morning 500 times.
Yeah.
And yet I don't remember it.
Well.
All right. Fair enough. It's my
you
memory that's
team
not
here,
working
though.
so well. That's Bubba with Love It or Shove It. It's
Go Powell.
brought to you by Grainger.
Bilal.
No matter the job, Grainger's got your back. Grainger for the ones who get it done. Bubba, who has the worst fantasy team in the history without
Can you imagine if
sports?
this fantasy team was a real NFL team? That'd be wild.
That, my
It would be
friend,
so bad.
that was well played.
It was
That
indeed.
was well played.
He is Bubba, better than ever. All right, I'm told Bubba's ready to go, so let's do this.
It's time for another edition of Love It,
Oh, this is fun.
or Shove It with Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio.
All right, Love It or Shove It, which is brought to you by Grainger, is also brought to you, of course, by Brendan Bubba Peregrine, who joins us. And I'm confused here because Bubba appears to be in the middle of his fantasy draft.
What's up, guys? Yep.
And I don't know how he's going to have time to present all of the Love It or Shove It topics.
Yeah, I mean, I can sneak them in real quick, but yeah, we're doing the rare 8:30 a.m. fantasy draft at the bar. So, yeah, that's what our group likes to do. But you know, the beers are flowing; it's fine.
Beers are flowing. Nice.
All right, so either give us a pick or give us the first topic, whichever you
I'll
have
do
ready.
both. I mean, I think they always say go with a running back, right? Is that the
sure.
pick? So, let's see. I don't want Zeke's. I'm gonna go first pick. Bilal Powell will be my first pick. So
Wow, I want to be in your league. Is it a money
Powell.
league?
so I
New
got
York
Powell.
Jets.
Let's go.
I'm telling you right now, as ridiculous as this sounds,
I do like him, actually.
and they're going to
Yeah.
trade away Matt Forte from
Yeah.
everything I'm hearing. So if they trade away Forte, Powell becomes
I do like Powell.
Yeah,
I
good-
agree.
I'm hearing good pick, right?
the centerpiece
No.
of
Fields.
the worst
Fields, good
offense in
pick.
the NFL. So-
Yeah. First pick of the draft, huh?
All right, that's well
Yeah,
done.
get a running back. Yeah.
All right, I love that pick. Now let's see what else you have for Love It.
All
or
right,
Shove
the
It.
Celtics will finish with the best record in the East. Love it or shove it.
I shove it. I do think it's going to be the Cavaliers. I think they are going to, we'll see what the whole shifting of schedule, making the season a little longer will do for the rest part of this. But I do think the Cavaliers will be the number 1 seed this year.
Yes, I think that because of the schedule. Now, look, the Celtics got better because Irving is an upgrade, and the addition of Hayward is obviously huge. But I think the Cavaliers, this is going to be very poor English, got more better because I think what they added for Irving is equal. Let's call it equal with the additions of Crowder and Moore. And I think that the less rest will mean more LeBron, which means more wins. So I think the Cavaliers will retake the number 1 seed in the conference, as irrelevant as that felt a year ago. So I, too, shove it. Bubba, next.
All right. With the second pick here, I think I guess I'm in a PPR league, which something about reception, so I got to go receiver. And with the second pick, I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson.
Anderson. For those across America who have no idea who he's talking about, he will probably be the Jets' leading receiver this year.
Oh, nice.
And the fact that you have no idea who he is should give you some indication of how bad the Jets are going to be.
Bubba going with the sneaky draft.
Well, with Enunwa down, he's like the
he's
the
hurt.
only experienced guy they have left.
It's a good thing you didn't pick Enunwa. He's hurt.
Yeah, he was. Thank you for that tip. I didn't know he was hurt.
Yeah, he might have been your next pick.
I think you're doing this well.
I would really like to play against Bubba in his fantasy league. Meanwhile, love it or shove it next.
The loser of Alabama, Florida State will still reach the college football playoff. Love it or shove it.
I'm going to say I shove it. I'm going to say who loses this game, they're going to drop another one throughout the rest because they'd have to basically go undefeated. Making the Final Four, we've never had a 2-loss team in it in just a few years we've been doing it. So whoever loses can't lose another one. I think they will. I think that there is that pressure of knowing you can't lose another one. And I think they will drop another one. So I do think I think the loser will end up losing another one and not make it.
I'm also going to say I shove it. I believe Alabama will win this game, and I don't think Florida gets through Florida State, gets through a loaded ACC this year without dropping another game. I do think Alabama could lose this game and still make it. But, that's selling short some good teams in the SEC also.
Absolutely right.
And they've gotten tripped up historically over the years here or there. So I will also shove it. I believe the loser of this game will not make the college football playoff. Bubba, next.
All right. With my third pick here, I think I'm going to go a little off the board here, and I'm going to go – let's get some special teams involved. Chandler Catanzaro is my third pick.
He's kicking for the Jets now.
I expect a lot of field goals.
They don't have Nick Folk anymore. Catanzaro, who used to be on the Cardinals, is now the Jets.
Let me tell you what, expecting a lot of field goals is actually pretty smart.
I'll tell you this. The Jets, I would bet you, will score fewer touchdowns than any team in the NFL this season. So that could lend itself to some field goals. That's actually not a bad pick.
Here we are trying to
not
justify
a bad pick.
No, I don't think I would take him third in the third round.
I mean, Bubba, you're still an idiot, but we can try and make justifications for all your
Amongst kickers, that's not a terrible pick.
I like it.
All right, Bubba, next.
The NFL was correct in reducing Vontaze Burfict's suspension from 5 games to 3. Love it or shove it.
Well, just for the fact that it went down, I would love it that it went down, but I shoved the whole suspension in the first place, quite honestly. I don't see it. Other than it being Vontaze Burfict, and he loses all rights, basically, because of his history. I just didn't see the play the way the NFL did, and I wouldn't have suspended him at all. But I am glad they dropped it a couple of games.
I will actually say love it because while I understand what's wrong with that play, even if it's an impossible position you're putting the defender in, 5 games just felt heavy. I understand it's not a 5-game suspension for that play. It is an accumulation of all the things that have happened. But 5 games felt like too much no matter how you sliced it. So I am glad that they took it down to 3. We're loving or shoving it with Bubba. Next.
All right, with the 4th pick, let's get a quarterback. I'm told I can't take Tony Romo.
Oh, no.
So I'll take the next best thing.
Please tell me if you...
Christian Hackenberg. Let's go. Come on down.
All right. This one, there's no way we can justify.
I'm actually enjoying this shtick. No, you can justify.
I'm just trying to win a fantasy league.
Here's how you can justify.
That's gone.
I believe he is going to play. I believe that no matter how lost he appears, he is going to play. So he will get the fact that he's picking someone who is not a Week 1 starter, which might appear ridiculous on its
savvy
face.
move.
Do you think he gets the look before Bryce Petty? I have a feeling their minds are somewhat made up on Hackenberg.
I think it depends on how quickly they go to the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they go to the bullpen week 4, then Petty goes first. If they go to the bullpen week 8 or 9, they have to find out about Hackenberg. I think they've made up their minds on Petty.
All right. I'm not all that.
Either way,
sure
the quarterback situation is brutally bad,
horrible.
and no one cares. But no one can blame me for injecting Jets into this conversation. This one's all on Bubba.
It's true.
Love it or shove it. Next.
Joe Hayden will make a Pro Bowl with the Steelers. Love it or shove it.
Wow. He's been to 2 Pro Bowls in 13 and in 14. Second team All-Pro, actually, in 2013. Pittsburgh scores a lot of points, so opponents will have to throw more, I think, against them. I think, though, I'm going to shove this and say he's not going to. I think he's very happy where he got. Cleveland wanted to cut his salary from $11 million to $7 million. He said no. He ended up getting $7 million guaranteed this year from Pittsburgh, but he's on a playoff team that can really do some damage.
He's a big winner in this.
He absolutely is. But I'm going to say I shove it. I don't think he makes another Pro Bowl.
Me too. Bubba, loving it or shoving it. We have time for one more. Next.
All right, so I think just to play it safe, I think I just want to get another special teamer in there. I'm going to go Lucky Whitehead, number 5. Lucky Whitehead.
Isn't he hurt?
He's hurt.
So
he's hurt.
That's
Bubba.
my squad there.
He's just someone you've heard of.
Bubba, he's
At
hurt.
this point, Bubba is just naming Jets he's heard of.
God forbid he took the Jets' defense,
which is the only thing the Jets have that's good.
Yeah, we'll go with Lucky.
Lucky Whitehead is Bubba's selection.
Is this a pay league? Did you have to give him
J-E-T-E. Jets.
Did you have to give him money
Why did you
to
end
join
with
this
an
league?
E there?
Did you ever watch the draft?
Did you just misspell that, or
happened in
Can
the
someone
draft?
explain it to him?
Happened in the draft. It was one of the guys who got up
you
and
spelled it wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
You missed that?
Somehow I missed it. I watched the draft. This year's draft.
I guess you didn't.
I was
87's draft.
Okay, let's move it on. Go ahead, Bubba. Next.
Ezekiel will play Week 1 against the Giants. Love it or shove it.
Oh, I shove it. I don't think there's any way he's playing.
Me neither.
He's going to be suspended. I think 6. Schefter kind of seemed to crack the door a little bit to think it might go down.
I think it will go down. Based upon all the history that we read here this morning, I think it does go down.
Well, I tell you, that would be something, but I don't think it goes any lower than
the way it
3
goes,
to 4.
The way he plays Week 1 is if they then try to take this thing to court quickly,
get a stay,
and that winds up getting stayed, which I don't think they'll do. If the thing gets reduced, I think they'll just take it and go. So I believe ultimately he will not play. Tony Richardson at the draft started a Jets chant and said J-E-T-E. How did I miss that?
I don't know.
How did that come and go and I missed it completely?
Probably
because you didn't really watch the draft.
I watched the draft.
Well, you obviously didn't. If a guy from your own team spelled your own team's name wrong and you missed it.
Now that you're saying it, I sort of vaguely remember.
I imagine the drop was played the next morning 500 times.
Yeah.
And yet I don't remember it.
Well.
All right. Fair enough. That's my memory.
Team here, though.
So well. That's Bubba with Love It or Shove It. It's
Go Powell.
Brought to you by Granger.
Bilal.
No matter the job, Granger's got your back. Granger for the ones who get it done. Bubba, who has the worst fantasy team in the history without.
Can you imagine if this fantasy team was a real NFL team? That'd be wild.
That, my
friend, would be so bad.
That was well played.
It was.
That was well played.
He is Bubba, better than ever.
The best of Mike and Mike.
We're Mike and Mike, and obviously so much going on in the sports world today, but all of that feels comparatively inconsequential when we see the devastation that has taken place in and around Houston, Texas. And this is the Walt Disney Company's hashtag Day of Giving. Across the ESPN and ABC networks, all of us are trying to help you find ways to help the people there. And a simple one, you can go to redcross.org/ESPN, or you can text the word Harvey to 90999 if you would like to make a $10 donation. Joining us now with his sort of on-the-ground update on where things stand is the manager of the Houston Astros, A.J. Hinch, is with us here on Mike and Mike. Good morning, A.J.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
We are fine. More significantly, we're interested to hear how you are. Now, your team is still in Tampa. You're going to be playing in Houston, starting with a doubleheader on Saturday. We talked to Bill O'Brien earlier this morning.
Right.
The Texans are back there. What is your sense of what you are expecting when you return?
We don't really know. We've been gone for all of this, and we're lucky that we're going to be able to get to go home just to hug our families and see our city again. We came to Tampa, played the 3-game series. We're playing our 3rd game today. And then we get to go home. The league and our mayor, our city, our organization, the Mets, all got together, and they're going to give us tomorrow off. We'll play a doubleheader on Saturday. But I think, we all live in different parts of the city. Some of us, it's our permanent residence. Others of our team are just having apartments or homes around the vicinity. So individually, I don't think many of us know what we're walking into. I mean, there's some parts of the city that are more damaged than others, but honestly, I think just stepping on the ground in Houston, being back with our city and our fans will be a big boost for us.
We not going to lie, both Greeny and I were surprised to hear there were going to be games played this weekend so close to what's been going on. So what is your expectation of fans there and how that whole operation will run?
You know, I think in some ways we're going to try to be therapeutic for the whole city and play the games and not knowing whether or not people are going to be able to really make their way around the city. You know, from my understanding, the freeway system is starting to open up. There's certainly a part of the city that's you know, impassable, and there's just going to be nobody coming from different areas. There are a lot of people that are downtown in the convention center, and we're going to try to provide tickets to them and give them access to the ballpark, and just bring a 3 hour, actually be 6 hours, I guess, with 2 games break in the days. But I don't think we really know. I think the support has been tremendous so far. I know there's been a lot of money. I mean, watching what J.J. Watt's doing and things around the city, there's going to be a ton of opportunities for us on Friday, the day off, to volunteer and connect with people. When Saturday hits, we'll play the games. Hopefully have some people in and around Minute Maid that can come. But we wouldn't play if it wasn't safe in the areas, and I know certain parts of the city aren't going to be able to see us, but we're going to do the best we can to try to start to get the city back to normalcy, and part of that's, you know, playing our game.
A.J. Hinch, the manager of the Astros, is with us again in Tampa today for one final game against the Rangers, and then going back home to Houston. And you mentioned the uncertainty with so many of your players. What conversations have you had with them, or just about the emotions that they are feeling? This is something that goes so far behind the normal confines of sports and the normal things that you as a manager might have to deal with. What sorts of things have you heard from them?
You know, most of it's been about family. I mean, obviously, you know, we're fortunate. We're safe. We're in Tampa, Florida. We're in a dome. We're playing games. And you know, part of our families are with us. There's a number of players that have their families with us that were in Anaheim last weekend with us. But it's been all conversations about our families. We've had, you know, Charlie Morton's wife and kids are in an apartment, and Brad Peacock's wife and new baby are in an apartment, and Jose Altuve's baby is in his house. And we're trying to make sure that we're there emotionally to support these guys, because it's all been about people. It's not about stuff. It's not about houses. It's not about cars. It's not about convenience. It's about the people that we're closest to, and then it goes to friends, and then it goes to neighbors, and then it goes to just our fans, or just non-fans but Houston residents. And there's so many people affected by this. You know, our players have openly talked about their own situations. We've all offered our homes to teammates and to coaches and to just trainers and staff if they are in trouble when we get back. But I think it puts the baseball in perspective. I think our guys do a good job of connecting with one another, but it's been a terrible week.
All the way around. And so, again, your team, I know, will go back and make a difference in any way that it can, and we're doing the best that we can here as well with the hashtag Day of Giving. Best of luck today, and most importantly, best of luck as you and your team get home this weekend, and I know that you'll do whatever you can to help the community there coming together after this horrible tragedy. Thanks, A.J.
Thanks, A.J.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. You know, one last thing before I leave is I think the outpouring in the early part of this has been tremendous. I would urge people to a month from now continue to check in and continue to participate, because it's going to take a long time for Houston to be Houston again.
It's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. AJ, thank you very much. And the one thing I'll say is his team is so good that they're going to be playing a month from now.
They are.
They will be playing into October for sure. How deep into October remains to be seen. But the city will be very visible through the Major League Baseball postseason for sure. And
it definitely
that,
will.
I think, will help a little, because there will just be naturally more attention.
I do as well, but you know how it works. Once the headlines start to go away a little bit and you're not seeing or hearing the stories anymore, if you're not there, you kind of start to put it to the side and say, okay, I helped out here or there, and then it kind of put it aside, where he's right. This is going to be months, could be years for some people, you know, getting out of that and getting back to a normal part of their life.
I'll tell you what I remember most vividly. We went back to Katrina. We went back to New Orleans, me, after Katrina for the first time for the Arena Bowl championship game. It was before the Monday night, the legendary Monday night game. The Saints, for those of you who don't remember this, did not play at home that entire year. So the famous game with the block punt and everything else came the following season.
Right.
That summer, they played the Arena League, played their championship game in New Orleans, and that was the first time you and I had been back. And it was the first time we had seen it, and parts of the city looked great, and parts of it most certainly did not. And what I remember the most vividly was as we were walking around the streets together, people stopping us all the time and saying things like, Mike and Mike, tell everybody how great we're doing. Make sure you tell everybody how good New Orleans is doing. Make sure you tell everybody New Orleans is back. And it made me feel in some ways so sad because I could hear what they were saying, and then you just look around you, and you could see in so many ways the city was by
still
no
devastated.
means back.
Yeah.
But the civic pride and the way that people wanted their home to be represented on a show like ours, it was really very touching to me. But it's a good reminder that I think that sports sometimes can remind people, you'll go back to your life wherever you are today. Hopefully you'll give some money to the Red Cross or whomever it is, and then you'll go live your life.
Right.
And eventually the news, what you put on CNN, it won't always be about this anymore.
Right.
But when the Astros are in the playoffs, this will come up.
It will come up. You'll see the city again. And I'm sure they'll bring it up as well and can keep it going because there's certainly going to be some long-lasting effects here.
First time skydiving? Sure is. Okay, you just open the door like this and you jump. Oh, wait. Should we be like in tandem? Tandem? That's a great idea. Are you a certified instructor? No, but I love parachutes and I love people. Here we go.
You wouldn't take chances with an uncertified skydiving instructor. Don't do it with your finances.